Hello and welcome to TalentSprint again. We'll now discuss in this video another committee which was of great importance, which was formed by the Reserve Bank of India, and that is the M. Damodaran Committee on Customer Service in Banks. Mr. Damodaran was a former employee of the Reserve Bank of India, and he was finally the chairman of the Unit Trust of India and of course of the chairman of the Securities Exchange Board of India also. Mr. Damodaran, while his stint with the UTI, was asked to head a committee on customer service in banks. The Damodaran Committee was established by an order of Reserve Bank of India in 2010 under the chairmanship of Mr. M. Damodaran, ex-chairman of UTI as well as ex-chairman of SEBI. This committee was asked to examine the international best practices in the area relating to customer service and suggest modifications thereof to suit Indian conditions. The Damodaran Committee was asked basically to study the international standards of customer service in banks and asked to recommend the various practices to suit the Indian conditions. The recommendations of the committee, the first recommendation was that the banks should be in a position to design products suiting the customer's requirements rather than forcing upon the customers the bundled products on them. Banks always had this habit of forcing bundled products on customers. Whether the customer needs or not, the customer had to take a bundle of products offered by the bank. The Damodaran Committee said that this was not to be the case anymore. The banks have to be customer-centric and design products which suited the customers and which the customers could avail of in case they need them, not if they don't need them. That was the first recommendation of the Damodaran Committee. Second recommendation in terms of customer service was that the passbook or the statement of account should indicate the account number, name and address and ID of the customer. The passbook should reflect, or the passbook or the statement of account should indicate the account number, name and address of the customer in full. This was because in the earlier days when passbooks were given to customers, very often you could find that the passbooks contained only the name. The account number, the address, etc. were not being written because it was being manually written. However, with the advent of computerization and with the advent of full-scale computerization by the year 2002, the Damodaran Committee, which was formed in that year, recommended that the passbooks or the statement of account should contain the entire name and address of the customer and also the customer ID. We now today, if you see the email statement of accounts or even the checkbooks, the customer ID will be written there. This is as a result of the recommendations of the Damodaran Committee on Customer Service. And the passbook or the statement or the checkbook should also indicate the MICR code, the IFSC code. We have already seen what is IFSC code, the toll-free customer care number and the ombudsman contact number, etc. We have seen what is a bank ombudsman. We have also seen what is an IFSC code, and we also have seen what is an MICR code. So the Damodaran Committee recommended that the passbooks, instead of being just blank or the statement of account being just blank with just the name of the customer, they should include the name, address and contact number of the customer, the MICR code of the branch, the IFSC code of the branch, and then they should also indicate the toll-free customer service helpline and the banking ombudsman address, etc. on the statement of accounts. The committee also said that digitally signed email statements should be sent to customers on their request, and these should be accepted by the various government authorities. This is a very important recommendation of the Damodaran Committee, which we today see in actual practice. In actual practice, if you are actually now banking with one of the new generation private banks, I'm talking out of experience, that if you're banking with one of the new generation private sector banks, you could actually download your statement from the internet banking facility, and these statements are digitally signed by the bank official. This was as a result of the Damodaran Committee on Customer Service. The name of the payee as well as the instrument number in case of debit entries should be provided in the passbooks and statement of accounts. This was the committee's recommendation that the name of the payee and the instrument number in case of debit should be given in the passbook or the statement of accounts. I am not very sure whether this recommendation is being followed in full, because especially in the new generation private sector banks, many of them, they only say inward clearing. They do not give the name of the payee in the statement of account. They just say inward clearing and give you the check number, and the instrument number is given but not the name of the payee. So to this extent, the Damodaran Committee's recommendation does not seem to have been accepted in toto. Instead of separately recording the gross interest credited and TDS debited, some banks record only the one figure of net interest credited. This continues even today. There is no TDS shown in the statement of account. If you need a certificate of TDS, you have to get it from the bank separately. Customers should have the facility of number portability. This was suggested by the Damodaran Committee. To some extent, this has been accepted because the banks today, you could be living in Chennai but have a bank number which was originally given to you in Bombay or Mumbai. All you have to do is to give a change of address. The account number will remain the same, only the address would change. So to that extent, this recommendation has been accepted by the banks. Renewal notices should be sent to customers, preferably in the electronic form, to enable them to decide on renewal of term deposits. Of course, this has been accepted in toto. Whenever you have a term deposit and if it is falling due for renewal, let's say in about 30 days time, and that renewal notice comes to you in the form of SMSs and in the form of emails from the banks concerned. This recommendation has been accepted. The banks should not auto-renew their term deposit without the depositor's consent in writing. This again has been accepted by the banks, but they have gone a step further and taken the auto-renewal instructions right at the time of opening the term deposit itself. Many banks are doing that. And finally, banks should accept a self-attested photograph and address proof for opening the no-frills account. The no-frills account is where no extra benefits are given to the customers. That means DDs will be charged, minimum balances and all that criteria would have to be followed, and all the other normal facilities which you get with a normal account are not allowed in the no-frills account. So banks have started this habit of having a no-frills account, and the Damodaran Committee recommended that banks should only accept a self-attested photograph and address proof for opening the no-frills account. This also has been accepted by the banks, and this is being put into place. So this in essence is the major recommendations of the Damodaran Committee on Customer Service. It's very heartening to note that most of these recommendations have been accepted by the banks, some of them or many of them in toto and some of them partially, and it is no doubt that the customer service in banks have reached a different level now than what was earlier. And probably a lot of credit should go to the Reserve Bank of India for setting up this committee on customer service and for asking them to recommend the best forms of customer service as is the practice in the developed nations. So this ends the discussion on Damodaran Committee on Customer Service. It is a pleasure having you watching this video, and I hope you have enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed doing this presentation. And until I see you in the next video, it's bye from me for now. Thanks for watching.